to BTY. My name is Daniel Hammond, and as always, I'm joined by my good friend Michael Janse van Rensburg. And today we'll be hopping into a topic asked or requested by a fellow subscriber on making the hard decisions now or enjoying life and just having lots of fun. So we'll be discussing the balance between that. But before we hop into that, how have you been doing, Michael?
Sure, man. It's good to hop on a conversation with you. It's been a little while since we've done one of these like more laid back conversations. So excited to get into it,
Yeah.
man. But I've been so well, man. 2024 has been very blessed. I think it's been busy start to the year. I've seen a lot of people talking about how this has been like the longest month in in forever. Like the people are just saying that January is going on forever. And,
Yeah.
and I can, in some ways, I can relate. Like it does feel like there's a lot that's happened already in this year. But I mean, I'm always grateful when time sort of slows down a bit because sometimes it seems like it's always going too fast. But yeah, I've
Yeah.
been doing very well with work and sort of just pushing myself forward on different fronts. And I've been loving to see what's happening with BTY. We've also been seeing a lot of growth, man. But how's things happening on your side in there in Namibia, man?
Yeah, so I must say I can relate to just being busy. So it's been like the first December last year that I worked through, and now just coming into January, I was also just working and currently waiting for studies to commence next week. Excited for that being my final year. And yeah, I
So
must say, I'm pretty excited for this year, what's to come, pushing on all fronts of my life. And yeah, like you say, BTY has been growing pretty well at this moment. And yeah, I look forward to just keep the growth up with you, man.
100%, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, we received actually a video idea from someone who's been watching and listening to BTY. So will you read out sort of what they wanted to hear from us, and then we can delve into the topic itself.
Yeah, so reading what he says here, he's saying, I wanted to ask you and Michael to make a BTY video where you explain to guys our age based on choice making in our current or my current situation, he says. He says being forced to work to pay off your studies and help your parents, then whether going out and exploring the world is is a good choice, or just because a lot of people are saying that I have to enjoy my life. But to be honest, I don't want to waste time on things that aren't going to benefit my future. Yeah, that's what he says. And yeah, so from what I've just read, what is the first thing that you can say to this fellow young man?
Yeah, man, I think it's something that there's a lot to unpack in that question, and I think it's something that a lot of young men, young women can relate to. In
Yeah.
that, there's a lot of pressures I think on your shoulders as you start to get older. You know, when you're young, you're sort of dependent on everyone else, and you're able to rely on others for your income, for everything that you need. But as we start to get older and we're entering this phase of life, I think we're starting to deal with those pressures for the first time, perhaps of having to help out. Maybe you paying rent and trying to support your mom and dad as well. Add add your
Yeah.
income to the household. So there's all these extra pressures that sort of get put onto you for the first time, and I think that's sort of what he is referring to in that question. And yeah, definitely something I can relate to. I think the first part of the question that stood out and that I want to tackle is he mentions that he's unsure whether he should focus on having fun right now and just enjoying
Mhm.
himself, which is the kind of advice he receives from some people, or if
Yeah.
you should focus on just working hard perhaps and supplying what's the word, providing actually for his family and
Mhm.
providing for himself as well, and focusing on making money and on his job perhaps. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's not an easy question, man. I think, like he says, I can definitely relate to that part where you sometimes get conflicting advice. So I've heard a lot of advice where people are like, yeah, when you're young, this is the only time that you you're only going to be young once. You only live once, they say, and which is true, of course. And you have to enjoy yourself while you can. Make the most of it. Go out and party and enjoy yourself. I've definitely heard that kind of thing before.
Yeah.
But then obviously it's difficult to follow that advice when you have these pressures of people that you care about and loved ones that need things from you, and obviously to even go out and party and do everything, all those things that you enjoy, you need money, so you can't just be not working either. So
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot. It's not an easy question, but I think the first thing that I would say on that is, and I'm sure we'd be in agreement on this, is that it's better to make the hard decisions now as opposed to making them later.
Yeah.
So yeah, the hard decision is obviously to put your head down, keep the grind, like work, provide for your family, like help out where you can. But an easy decision would be to sort of neglect those responsibilities and perhaps use what money you have right now to enjoy yourself. But I think by making the harder decision now, your life might be more difficult in the short term. But one thing that I can definitely say is that I would rather have my life be easier later on in life. I wouldn't want to be like really struggling and having to grind, my ass off when I'm like 30 years old, as opposed to now when I'm 20 years old and I've got the energy to do it. So yeah,
Yeah.
there's a couple of opening thoughts on it, man. I'd love to hear anything that you have to provide on what he's asked us.
Yeah. So I think the most important piece of advice that I could give, relating from or drawing experience from my life, and when I was
Mm,
also at this type of spot in my life, looking back 3 years ago, would be to focus on what is important to you in that current situation, because a lot of people
mm,
might draw opinions from what is important to them in their life, and it's easy to get sucked into how the majority thinks. And I think the majority of young people would like to just party and enjoy their lives now, because they might have only been given the freedom to experience these sort of enjoyable things, which means going clubbing,
mm,
spending late nights out with your friends, and yeah, all sorts of these things. But
for sure.
when I look back, is making the hard decisions was saying no to going out, or even limiting, just like limiting the amount of times I would go out, or even when I would go out, I would limit the amount of time I would spend. I would rather like obey my mom's curfew, which was like getting back at 11, 12 p.m. in the evenings, while like my peers were still out partying. So why I decided to do this is because of what First Man says in delayed gratification, and
Mm,
also another quote, or yeah, like principle I live by is, you have to choose between the pain of regret or the pain of self-discipline. So
sure.
these hard decisions would be the pain of self-discipline, where you say that yes, as much as I want to just have fun right now, I'm gonna choose to discipline myself and work hard and save money where I can, so that I can rather like expand the family's economy, which means by adding income to it, rather than uh, making it smaller by like taking money from the economy, like asking your parents for money to go out. So
Mm,
rather than adding, then taking. So that would be my first point going into it. And yeah, that's one thing that I could look at. And a
it's
question
really
that
good,
I
man.
would ask you is, so yeah, that's one thing that I could go into. But a question that I'd ask you as well is, what steps did you take in, making sure that you could make the hard decisions and provide now for a better future?
Yeah, man. So I think to sort of go over like how it played out in my life. as well, I think I had just finished school, let's say around 18 years old, and there was a big sort of decision on whether you could either take a gap year or start studying immediately.
Yeah.
And a lot of people my age, had taken gap years and were, taking a year to find themselves. And of course, this sounds fun. Like there was a few programs that I looked at, and it did seem like something that it would definitely be enjoyable. You sort of go out in nature and
Yeah.
you like instruct for a while, and you can, yeah, while you're there you can sort of do anything you want, and oftentimes it ends up being a big party. But yeah, I decided to actually start studying straight away, and
Mm-hmm.
I think this was sort of because of the pressures that I felt from family. Um, there definitely wasn't. It wasn't the easy choice in a way to actually just have fun, because there would have been a lot of like pressure and sort of disapproval from family. And I think that's a real thing. In
Yeah.
that it might be the easy choice to like go and party in a way, but also that then you're sort of going against the pressures and some of the advice of your family. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, in some ways it was actually the easier decision to start studying, in that at least I would be keeping my parents happy. But
Mm-hmm.
also, I must say I was very blessed in that I had taken the time to really think about what I wanted to study, and
Mm-hmm.
I made the right decision in what I did study, and I actually have enjoyed the last 3 years that I spent studying this topic,
Yeah.
of IT and software engineering. But yeah, one thing that I want to hop into that is important to note is that
Mm-hmm.
as much as you can just work hard now, you do have to still make sure that you enjoy yourself in some areas. You can't be grinding 24/7 and perhaps not enjoying yourself at all. And you don't
Yeah.
want to waste your 20s entirely in that all you did was sit in your room and make YouTube videos, or study and read books. We want
Yeah.
to make sure that you still had some times to make good memories. I mean, I have had the opportunity to make some amazing memories throughout the
Yeah.
last 3 years, despite actually being very productive in those years as well. So, what I did to do that was, I think you made a good point, man, in that they say all things in moderation, and I think that applies
Yes.
here, in that you can go out with your friends for sure, and I think the only time it becomes an issue is when 4 or 5 nights of the week you're out at a nightclub or at a bar, till 12 o'clock at night. So there's always a reasonable limit where you can stop, and
Yes.
you have to find the balance of enjoying yourself and working hard. There is a bit of a balance. I think you have to sort of prioritize one, and at the end of the day, if you're prioritizing having fun, then you're going down the other path. We're talking about the path of prioritizing making hard decisions, but still having enough of a balance that you won't burn out. So yeah, what I did was basically I made sure to maintain a social life. I think you can
Mm-hmm.
very quickly become isolated if you're only focusing on work. Maybe you don't have good friends in your life. So I've always made sure to reach out to the people in my life that I care about and that I want to keep in my life, and sort of maintain those relationships. That's definitely something that I did. If someone invites you out and every single time you say no, I'm busy, you're not going to maintain that friendship, unfortunately, or that relationship. So you have to
Yeah.
occasionally be like, yes, I'll come out. So that you can maintain those relationships. And at the end of the day, it's going to be important to have friends in your life and people around you. Yeah, I think that's one thing I'd actually definitely recommend is having people around you that can provide support. Maybe when you are struggling, um,
Mm-hmm.
and you need advice, you can reach out to these people. So that's definitely something I would say.
Yeah.
And then finally, I would
Mm-hmm.
also just say to have a couple of things that really provide peace and relaxation for you. So for me,
Mm.
that was actually quite often the gym. Actually, over the last 3 years,
Sure.
sometimes yeah, like a bit of a me time almost, and like
Mm-hmm.
time that is only for you, and it's considered rest in a way. As much as gym is actually like a
Yeah.
physical activity, for me it can be sometimes rest in that it actually just gives me like peace of mind. I'm not really worried about like my studies or work now.
Mm-hmm.
You're sort of disconnected from everything else, and you're just focusing on lifting heavy weights. So for me, that was gym. Reading is another good thing, and maybe
Mm-hmm.
watching a series for sure. I mean, we all
Yeah.
enjoy watching a bit of YouTube and series. So find a couple of things that really relax you, and make sure to include some of that in your day where you can. But
Yeah.
yeah, man, I know you've had also like some experiences with burnout, and what would
Mm-hmm.
advice be on that side of things in terms of finding the balance between enjoying yourself and working hard?
Yeah, so you're definitely reading my mind there. That's something that I did want to, delve into as well
Mm,
in this video today. So yeah, it's important to have a balance and not take on too much. So I
very
remember
good,
it
man.
was my second year of university, and I finally worked on myself to a point where a lot of things were falling into place, and there was opportunities that came my way, and I didn't really think to say no to any of them. So in that year, I started a business, and I said yes to taking part in this other competition, Mr. United. So this was like a pageant. And then, yeah, I had my studies going on as well, and a lot of like activity with church. So this became a problem
And of
because,
course, making YouTube videos as well, man.
oh yeah, yeah, definitely. So, BTY has become something that I don't even think of as an activity. It's just something that's part of my life. So
Sure,
yeah,
man.
that was like a fifth thing. So
But yeah,
yeah,
you
there
had
was a lot on my
a lot of
plate.
things on your plate.
Yeah, and so it became a point, or there came a point where I didn't have time for myself. Yeah, so the gym was also like another activity that
Sure.
was in there, and I didn't make time to relax. I remember that I would like be up to like late the evening, like sorting out orders for the business, and like planning activities that I needed to do for the pageant, like I can't recall the word now, but it's basically like going out and, giving children food or clothing, like doing these like good
Mm,
activities just as part of your journey. So then I would wake up early the next morning and then just get back into the grind. I didn't take time to rest, and I also didn't want to give myself time to rest. I kind of felt guilty when I wanted to take a break and just enjoy myself, to points where
sure.
I was in my exams, and I was quite sick. Like I had a flu and a cold, but I just like kept on pushing, like giving the business attention and like studying for exams simultaneously. And this led to me like having a significant drop in my grades. I luckily I passed, and I still got relatively good marks, but not compared to what I got previously. And going into December, I just decided to isolate myself and like be totally offline, and yeah, just distance myself from everyone. And this became a problem going into 2023, because now I had so much anxiety going back online and like carrying on with these activities, that it was actually difficult for me to like start the year on a positive, and it took time to build momentum again. So definitely, as you've mentioned earlier, you need time where you have me time and you're giving attention to like to yourself, and just being caring, and
It's good.
like allow yourself to relax, watch some series, like do things that fill your tank again and re-energize your battery. You definitely need to charge it up, and this is important because if you burn out, you waste so much time, and you end up going back in time rather than going forward. So if you take your breaks strategically, it actually becomes part of you being productive, because then it allows you to carry on efficiently for a longer period of time. So I would definitely say you have to only focus on 2 to 3 activities that
Mm,
you're really like giving yourself the space to be like super productive in, to a point where you're also pushing yourself. But then a fourth activity that you should include is relaxing and resting up to take on the next big opportunity. And then a final point on this topic, or yeah, giving like having a balance, would be to make sure that you are I can't get to the point now, but yeah, just making sure that you allow yourself enough time to, regroup and reassess what you've done and how you can do things better.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more, man. I think it's important to fully answer that question. Like we we sort of delve into why we think it's better to make the hard decisions now and to sort of put your head down and work hard. But I think it comes with a big caveat of obviously keeping that balance. So yeah, I hope that's definitely provided some clarity and answered the question. I really enjoyed this, man. I would love to get more questions from you guys who are watching and listening to BTY. And yeah, like we would love to, if you have specific questions about your life, and at the end of the day, a lot of the time we're actually going through some of the same struggles. So please do, we love receiving this kind of feedback, and hope that the advice that we could provide was valuable on our perspective on the topic itself. But yeah, please do, if you have anything in your life that you would like to receive advice on, send it down in the comments below, and we'll definitely hop into some more conversations and give our perspective on these things, man. But enjoyed the conversation with you. It was really good.
That's good.
And
yeah,
looking forward to the next episode that we do delve into. But if you guys enjoyed watching, please do consider leaving a like on this video. That just helps us out by promoting the video to more people on YouTube. And please do consider subscribing if you want to become a part of this BTY community that we are building. The face of self-improvement in South Africa, Namibia, and anywhere else that you are watching from. We're on a journey to improve ourselves every day and do this in a holistic way so that every facet of our life becomes better and better. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and we are looking forward to seeing you in the next one. Much love.
Yeah, thank you. Much love from BTY. Cheers.